Hi there! This is Laura with the ITONICS Academy, and I'll be presenting this course about the fundamentals of innovation management. This course addresses the most essential questions about managing innovation in a company. You can expect to find answers to 5 key questions. First, why do companies innovate? Or, better said, why is it necessary for companies to innovate? Second, what do companies innovate? While innovations can appear vague, the insights from this course will bring them into sharp perspective. Third, how do companies innovate? You will learn different techniques which companies use to create new, valuable applications. Fourth, why is it hard for companies to innovate? You will learn more about the barriers to innovation. Finally, the 5th question we will address is, why do companies employ innovation operating systems? You will learn about the value gained by using software dedicated to facilitating innovation management activities. Remember that you define the tempo. This course is available 24/7, so the speed of your progress is in your hands. Rest assured that there is a host of support material to reference as you progress, such as training videos, reference case examples and blog articles, and downloadable templates. Are you ready? Then, let's get you up to speed immediately and jump directly to the first question. Why do companies innovate? The answer to this question is very straightforward. Companies innovate because they want to stay relevant in the future or because they want to become even more relevant in the future. Following this argument, taking innovation seriously means taking the relevance of a company's future seriously. It is about taking care of future profits, taking care of future employment, taking care of good, healthy working conditions, and taking care of the future well-being of the company and its employees. It's about crafting a rewarding future position in the market. Nearly all profit-oriented companies want to survive in the market. But what brought them into their current position won't keep them in the same position or help them grow into an even better position in the future. The future will be different from today, and therefore, companies need to adapt to market changes if they want to survive or thrive. This is why they engage in innovation activities. This is why they scan their environment, anticipate changes, and think about reasonable responses to such changes. The earlier and more frequently they can capitalize on these changes, the more likely they will win in the future. Companies need to innovate because change compels them to do so to stay in the market. Of course, they can also initiate change to reinvent themselves or their product offering, which can help them generate more revenue and profits in the future. To illustrate, let's look at some examples of how companies' innovations have helped some companies thrive and forced other, previously dominating companies to fall. One of the more recent examples of failure to adequately manage innovation comes from the digital photography industry, where Kodak, a former market leader, went bankrupt. Despite their early investment in digital photography technology, they underestimated the potential impact and made wrong investment decisions, which ultimately led to their failure. In contrast, their former competitor Fuji also did not keep up with the developments in smartphones and digital photography, but they managed to diversify and shift their core business. Another example of the impact of innovation is the exponential growth of Netflix and the fall of Blockbuster. While both companies started as DVD rental companies, Netflix adapted to changing customer needs and new technology to ensure its survival in a changing market. Both examples show that if companies cannot meet customer expectations where their competitors do, they will likely find themselves in trouble. When they can no longer impress their customers, it will be too late. That is why companies innovate. That is why it's important for companies to engage in innovation activities before the change permanently impacts the market. Hello, welcome back. In the first session, we clarified why companies innovate. Now it's a good time to clarify what it means to innovate. You may have heard various terms used to describe innovation: radical innovation, breakthrough innovation, disruptive innovation, incremental innovation, small-scale innovation, continuous improvement, business model innovation, and maybe more. Of course, knowing what things mean helps to create clarity, and it helps to have productive discussions and, more importantly, to set the right focus. From a management perspective, setting the right focus is the most important reason when answering the question of what companies innovate. In the corporate world, answering this question is often closely related to allocating resources, which means ensuring a sufficient budget. Since innovations are strategically relevant, these activities are often funded differently to small improvement projects. With this difference, we are back to our initial question: what do companies innovate? They can, of course, invest all their money in small improvement projects. But small improvements do not regularly lead to big returns. Regular small improvements do not help to respond to bigger market changes. This is why companies need to invest their money in small improvements and more innovative projects simultaneously. What do more innovative projects mean? By definition, innovations are new, rewarding mean-end combinations that aim to serve existing needs better or to create and serve new needs. This definition expresses that the level of innovativeness is determined by the degree of newness, the degree of a possible reward, and the type of the mean-end combination. Let's focus on the mean-end combination to further explore what companies innovate. By this definition, serving or creating new needs results from innovating the ends. In that sense, companies can, first, work on innovating new products that did not exist before. This is called product innovation. It is also often associated with creating a market that did not exist before. Or, second, companies can innovate the means and work on serving existing needs better. As such, they can innovate the process of how products are delivered or created, which is called process innovation. This is often associated with efficiency gains and better experiences. Or, third, they can innovate the whole combination. This can mean using completely new processes to create a completely new product. But, more commonly, it means changing the process of how money is collected. This was a very common innovation at the beginning of the platform economy, and is called a revenue model or business model innovation. With that distinction in mind, you may wonder why it is important to know the difference. Quite simply, of course, this understanding will help you to set the right focus and to get the right resources for your project. In essence, the innovation activities of companies need to be directed toward the question of what change will lead to the desired reward. Companies, therefore, need to identify the biggest bottlenecks and subsequent opportunities for innovation. Through this exploration, they can then reserve the budget for the right activities and can build an innovation portfolio that helps to strengthen the current operations with small improvement projects and build new competencies based on projects that focus on newer, more rewarding mean-end combinations. At best, then, innovation can add more value to the customer base and, at the same time, also pays back in terms of more revenue and profit to the company. And the most likely chance to discover this is by knowing whether to innovate the mean, the end, or its combination. Welcome back. Let's start with a quick recap. We concluded the first session with the following statement. If companies cannot hold up to customer expectations where their competitors do, they will likely find themselves in trouble. When they can no longer impress their customers, it will be too late. That is why companies innovate. While this statement applies to any industry across the globe, the necessity to innovate varies from industry to industry and from company to company. Bearing this in mind, the answer to the question of how companies innovate depends on, at least, two factors: an industry's clock speed and a company's ambition. When you consider that there are industries where consumers expect something new every season, like the fashion industry, for example, there are other industries where change takes place over decades. This pace of change is also referred to as the clock speed of the industry, which affects the necessity to innovate. Therefore, if an industry is not changing tremendously, at a fast pace, is not confronted with a lot of changing requirements, and has long development cycles, then companies in that industry innovate differently than companies in industries with constantly changing expectations. A second factor influencing how companies innovate is the company's ambition. Companies with the ambition to improve their market position need to invest more in innovation because only through new, rewarding mean-end combinations can they improve their market position. To innovate, companies in general need to take care of two phases. First, they need to find the right opportunities, which means they need to find the key challenges for which a company can provide new solutions, helping them to improve their market position. This is called the exploration or where to play phase. Second, they need to act on these opportunities and create value-adding solutions. This second phase is called the exploitation or the execution phase. To explore challenges and opportunities in the exploration phase, companies employ foresight and market insight teams to detect early signals of change. These signals of change can come from identifying emerging trends and technologies, or they can also come from exploring startups and how they do business differently. Close observation and understanding of customer behavior can also help to identify parts of a customer journey that are not ideal. The insights discovered in the exploration phase are used to explore the innovation fields that would benefit the most from new solutions. Companies decide on the best ways to address identified challenges and opportunities. In this second phase, the execution phase, and a plan to implement the solutions is put in place. For the development of such solutions, companies need to decide whether it is best to make these solutions themselves or whether they'd buy them from other providers. It can also be an attractive option to partner with others and create these solutions together. These decisions to make or buy or partner are based on the availability of resources, knowledge, and strategic relevance. The more relevant and the more available knowledge a company can access, the more attractive it will be for the company to create such solutions. This is true because companies want to control strategically relevant assets because they hold greater opportunities for profit. Based on these considerations, various innovation execution engines have been developed that companies can utilize. The most prominent innovation engine tools available are open innovation, agile design thinking, and co-creation, as well as incubators, corporate venture capital, and research labs. The clock speed of the industry and the company's ambition will determine whether it makes sense only to apply one or multiple engines as part of their innovation journey. Welcome back. With 2 more sessions to go, we are almost at the end of this short course on the essentials of innovation management. So far, we've concentrated on the positive aspects of innovation management. You've learned why companies should innovate, what they can innovate, and how they can innovate. You may be wondering why some companies don't innovate or why some companies are successful in their innovation efforts and others are not. In this session, we'll focus on barriers preventing innovation from being undertaken successfully. While managing innovation may sound very straightforward from a theoretical perspective, the actual implementation can be interrupted by 4 classes of barriers. The first class of innovation barriers refers to missing knowledge. Companies looking to innovate need to have access to information about what will be demanded in the future. These insights could come from internal experts, or they could come from the market. Will there be a real demand for a new solution, and are customers willing to pay for it? Having the answers to make sound decisions can be particularly difficult in large organizations where efficiently managing and accessing available knowledge can be challenging. Missing accurate market insights while trying to balance diverse and varying opinions often delay decision-making and is the main reason why the innovation performance of companies can be weak. The second class of innovation barriers refers to missing ability, which, in essence, is about having the right individuals and the right equipment at hand to create a certain solution. It is also about creating and bringing solutions to implementation at the right time. The third class of innovation barriers refers to missing capacity. Although a company may have the right talent and equipment, the talent and equipment must be available. Often, experts are involved in daily activities and in getting their actual job done, which limits the time they can spend working on more innovative projects. While missing ability and capacity are the barriers that can be easily overcome by sourcing additional resources internally and externally. Of course, sourcing external resources could bring additional legal and financial constraints that should be considered. The fourth class of innovation barriers refers to missing commitment. Change is a natural part of the process of innovation, as existing behavior patterns need to be adjusted in line with new processes and objectives. Dealing with change can be difficult for teams and individuals and may lead to resistance and an unwillingness to commit to new solutions. The responsibility of innovation managers becomes apparent when acknowledging these 4 common innovation barriers. It is their job to remove obstacles and reduce barriers as best as possible to create an optimal environment for innovation to flourish. Welcome back. During the last 4 sessions, you've learned about the why, what, and how companies innovate. You also learned what makes it hard for companies to innovate. As we conclude this course on innovation management essentials, this final session focuses on why companies employ an innovation operating system and why customers value ITONICS. There are many good reasons why companies employ an innovation OS, but we don't have the time to discuss them in detail, which is why we've distilled our insights from the last sessions to highlight the most important points from an innovation management perspective, coupled with our in-depth learnings from our customers. First, companies employ an innovation OS because digital processes are more efficient than offline processes. In the digital era, this may not be worth mentioning anymore, but there are many companies struggling with the digitalization of processes. If you think of the knowledge management barrier, Think of how hard it would be to manage knowledge purely with paper and pen, phone, and whiteboards. Always having access to a digital interface with automated workflows and the ability to easily share and organize knowledge is a priceless asset. Second, companies employ an innovation OS because they do not want to guess in the dark or miss opportunities, and they also want to improve the accuracy of their investment decision-making. News emerges every day, and the increasing pace of change requires companies to know what will impact a business faster than ever. This is why it's crucial to have the most important developments on your radar. You need to analyze these developments in the context of the impact on your company and develop a position towards it. Do you need to change something, or can it be ignored? An innovation OS brings these developments together in real time and without a delay, enabling effective innovation management and empowered decision-making. Third, companies employ an innovation OS because they want to connect the dots in a single source of truth. In contrast to specialized solutions, an innovation OS covers all aspects of innovation management. This includes changing behaviors, ongoing projects, available experts, and new ideas. For each of these parts, companies could also employ single tools, but doing so could leave you with a fragmented IT landscape, breaks between information, and higher costs. An innovation OS resolves these inefficiencies and further eases managing the know-how and capacity. With a connected solution, companies will know who in an organization has the expertise to contribute to relevant new topics. Fourth, companies employ an innovation OS because they want to increase the commitment, contribution, and interest in strategically relevant topics among the workforce. Change is pervasive and constant. Even the most ambitious companies with a strong innovation culture are subject to constant change. To limit the ability for chaos and insecurity to set in, it is important to take the top management and the front line along in your innovation journey. The easy accessibility of an innovation OS provides the opportunity to engage the workforce in new topics and give them a voice and the possibility of contributing to a company's future. Furthermore, the Innovation OS serves as an easily accessible communication platform to create awareness of new strategic directions. Overall, an innovation OS lightens the load of innovation managers and facilitates an environment where innovation is embraced across companies by providing an all-in-one platform for effective innovation management. That concludes our short course on Innovation Management Essentials. Thank you for taking the time to learn more about innovation management. You are encouraged to attend all our Academy courses as you grow on your innovation journey.